Today I'll be cooking for you crispy skin salmon with lemon Parmesan sauce and Kabocha mash. Let's get to it. I need to cut my salmon, but first it's about 1.5 pounds that I bought, and it's very important that I have the skin on, because this crispy skin is truly the best part of this dish. So first I'm going to trim my salmon a little bit, and I feel like I'm gonna get 3 good pieces out of this. So I'm gonna take off this edge here, not just because of the fat. I mean, I love the fat, it's delicious in salmon, but because it gets a lot thinner down by that side. So let me start by trimming this off. Great. And now I am going to, in a perpendicular direction from what I just cut into 3 equal fillets, or really steaks. Okay, the secret to getting the skin crispy is a few things. This salmon needs to be bone dry. So I'm going to let it rest on paper towels for about 10 minutes on the skin side and about another 5 on the other side. So let's let that chill out. The other thing that's really important in getting a good skin, crispy skin, is a good pan. My favorite for cooking fish, especially a skin-on fish like this, is to use a non-stick skillet. I like a ceramic non-stick fry pan or a green pan. And then a spatula like this, my fish spatula. It just helps release the fish from the pan super easily, and again, gives it that good crisp finish. So while this is drying out, let's squeeze some lemons. We are going to need the juice of about 1 or 2 lemons in the sauce that we're gonna make later, but we're also going to for garnish, grill lemon halves. So I'm gonna take these 2 lemons because they're my prettiest, and just cut those in half. And I am going to put them on my grill pan, which I haven't turned on yet. I'm gonna wait a little bit, but at least I'm prepped for that. And we're gonna get some nice char marks on those lemons, looking beautiful on our plate later. And then now I'm going to juice, I need about 2 or 3 tablespoons, and these are some honkin' lemons, so I'm gonna see how many tablespoons I get with just this one. But if I need more, I can always juice the other one. And this is something we're gonna taste too. If when we taste the sauce later, we think it could use a little bit more acid or a little more citrusy flavors, I'll add more lemon juice. But this is a juicy, happy lemon. Yeah, that is plenty, I think, for our sauce. So we're good with the lemon juice. I've dried my salmon for about 10 minutes on the skin side, 5 minutes on the other side. It is really dry. So I'm going to season it now with some salt and pepper on all sides and all surfaces. It's really important to season while you're cooking, not just at the end. It makes a big difference in the finished product. Okay. Let's get our pan nice and hot. We are gonna get the pan hot before we touch the salmon to the surface. We are also going to get the oil hot. Use any high temperature oil. I love avocado oil, so it's what I'm using, but you can use canola, safflower, about 2 tablespoons into the pan. And we're gonna start skin side down as soon as this is ripping hot. Whew! All right, skin side down, here we go. There's the sizzle. All right, I'm gonna give them a little room. They're in there and I am not gonna touch them for at least the next 4 minutes. Do not move them. Otherwise, you won't have the crispy skin and that would be a tragedy. So while those are making their magic happen, I'm gonna prepare the rest of the ingredients for the sauce. We need to kind of small chop or dice 2 shallots. I've already diced one, but I'll go ahead and do the other one. You can see I cut it in half so that I have a flat surface to work with, safer that way. And then I'm going horizontally in the direction of the cutting board into the shallot in 1 or 2 places. And then I'm going to go in this direction about 3/4 of the way to the end. Now I shall make my chops. And look, they just come off so beautifully. Now when I get to this end that didn't have the slices on from the top, I'm just gonna turn it on its side. Go this way, and then I'll run my knife the other way, that way. Beautiful. You know, shallot is so wonderful. It's an onion in the onion family, but it's more mild than like a regular white onion. And it also has this kind of garlic essence that I love. It's fantastic in sauces. I can't think of a sauce that I make that doesn't include shallot. Wow, it's looking great. I think we have about 1 more minute, and we'll know that it's time to flip them because the skin will lift away really easily. If it's at all adhering to the pan, I've got to let it go a little bit longer. All right, but let's get our garlic ready. I'm just gonna smash 3 cloves, and ultimately I want to mince them, but it's much easier to peel them if you smash them. So look at that, that just came, just came right off. And then I'm going to use the most amazing kitchen tool invention ever. This garlic press. Instead of having to chop this into little tiny bits, I just load it in here and then I press. Can you believe that? And then when I flip it back, it is the skin that's not the nice part. It just comes right out. I'm feeling like I need to pay attention to my salmon. So we're gonna go back to the garlic and I am going to flip these very carefully. Oh, see, they are ready to go. Look at that. Awesome. Come on, guys. Woo! It's like a restaurant kitchen with the flames coming up from the sides. All right, I had it on pretty high. I'm now moving it to kind of just above medium plus, as we would say in wine. It's gonna stay on this side for about 3 minutes, but really I just wanted to go until I can take the temperature and it's about 110 to 120 degrees. Then I know it's medium rare. And that's how I like my salmon. If you want to cook it longer than 3 minutes and take it higher than 120 degrees, that's totally fine. But know that it will keep cooking for a few minutes after you take it off the heat. So maybe go a little under what you think is great. I think our salmon is good to go. So I am just going to carefully lift it. I'm just setting it on this plate for now while I work on the sauce. All right, I'm going to turn my heat down to medium and I'm going to throw the shallots in here. Same dish, we're going to make the sauce from the same pan. I'm just going to stir these for maybe 2 minutes until I see them getting translucent. I also love this ceramic nonstick because unlike Teflon, I can use any tool with this. I can use a metal whisk, I can use a metal spatula, and it's not gonna scratch the surface, or at least not as quickly. Okay, next up, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of red chili flakes, or red pepper flakes, excuse me, and our 3 minced garlic cloves. Just gonna let this season the oil and the shallots for about 30 seconds. Excellent. Next up is 1 cup of coconut milk. You can use heavy cream or whole milk, really anything. I just love the sweetness of coconut milk, the natural sweetness of coconut milk, so I think it's delicious with it. Okay, the mascarpone cheese, this is 1/3 a cup of mascarpone cheese. I'm gonna add that. I'm just gonna mix this until I see that the mascarpone has totally melted. And then I'm gonna add the next cheese, which is, you guessed it, 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. It's grated. I'm just gonna throw that in there. Beautiful. Last but not least, I am going to add some herbs. I love dill and thyme. I'm gonna grab about 3 tablespoons of dill and a few sticks of thyme. And I'm just gonna get this chopped up. I'm removing away the thicker part of the stem. It's okay if I don't, but. Oh, the dill smells so good. I love the combination of dill and salmon. I remember in college, I was traveling in Sweden for a little bit. I think that's where I fell in love with that combination. They served so much salmon in Stockholm, and it always was with dill. I'm just pulling the leaves right off the stem, tossing them in. A little pepper, a little salt. You know, Parmesan is really salty, so I don't need to add too much more. Let's taste it and see if it's well done. Wow, amazing. There's some heat from the red pepper. Some citrusy notes. I'm gonna add a little bit more lemon. And the herbs are infusing nicely. It's not like in your face dill, but it's layered in there. While this sauce is working, I am going to grill our lemon halves. This is just for garnish, but it really is pretty, and you can certainly give it a squeeze on your salmon as well, if you want a little more salmon in your bite. So I'm just turning, I have a cast iron grill pan that has the lines in it. I'm turning it up really high so that I get some burn and some char marks on the lemons. We are good to go. Our sauce is done. So next up, we're gonna plate it. And also, I love this combination, which is totally optional, but I love it with a kabocha squash mash. So I'm just gonna roast a kabocha, throw a bunch of butter in, maybe a little sauce in there too, and we'll use that as we plate it. The combination together is amazing. It also separates the salmon crispy skin from the sauce on the plate, so it keeps your skin crispy, which is of course really important. Kabocha is just a squash. It's a Japanese squash, and I love it. It's definitely my favorite. It has almost a chalky texture, and the flesh is bright orange, so it adds so much color to the dish. And you think that chalky flavor doesn't sound appealing? I don't know, there's something about it. It's really delicious. It pairs so well with butter, and when you do that and add a little salt, it almost is like meaty in its texture. So the hardest part of cooking kabocha squash is chopping it. It's like chopping a coconut. In fact, it probably should be used with the tools, cut with the tools that you chop a coconut with, but I don't have that. I just have a really sharp knife, and this is how you do it. With your hand out of the way, you give it a good whack. Then I jam with the palm of my hand further into the squash, and I am going to literally lift it up and smash it down. Woo! Go from the other side. And once you make the first break, it gets so much easier. Look at that beautiful flesh. So I'm gonna put this into quarters. So I'll just cut each half. You can see that's so much easier, especially with a flat side down. Scoop out the seeds, and I'm gonna put it in a 400-degree oven for about 40 minutes after I oil and season the quarters. So I'm just using a cookie sheet. I lined it with tin foil. You could also use parchment. So I'm gonna use a high temperature oil, definitely not extra virgin olive oil. That's a low temperature oil. It will burn your kabochas because you're gonna put it in, again, a hot oven, 400 degrees. So let's just drizzle these with my favorite avocado oil. You can also use canola oil or safflower oil. I'm just gonna give them a little rub down so that the skin is coated and the flesh is coated in the oil. Just helps it not stick to the pan, and it does soften the skin a little bit, which is delicious to eat, by the way. All right, I'm gonna wash the oil from my hands. We're gonna season them and get them in the oven. Some pepper. And I'm just doing this on the flesh side. It's not gonna absorb into the skin side anyway. Some salt. And into my 400-degree oven for 40 minutes. It's been 40 minutes. My home smells delicious. I think the kabocha is done. Ooh la la. To make the kabocha mash, I'm gonna protect my hand with a dishwashing glove. I know, it's a little bit maybe unusual. You can use whatever you like, but I like using a dishwashing glove. I've already put my butter, about 2 to 4 tablespoons, in the bowl because I want the hot squash to hit the butter and melt it. So I'm literally just spooning out this chalky squash. Great. Little pieces of skin in there. I love it, no problem at all. I'm gonna throw in a bit of my sauce. I mean, what's wrong with adding like herbs, Parmesan, and mascarpone to kabocha? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. All right, so my butter is melting, and I am just gonna work this until it looks like mashed potatoes. And then when we plate it, we're gonna make a little island of kabocha for our beautiful salmon fillet to sit on. That is great. Okay, now we're gonna plate our beautiful dish. And that's right, we're gonna make it beautiful in how we plate it. First up, we're going to put a layer of sauce on the bottom of the plate, right in the center. And I'm gonna be generous with this sauce. Well, because frankly, I could drink this sauce all by itself. I love it so much. Next up, we're gonna make a little island with our kabocha mash. So I'm just gonna put a few dollops of the kabocha and make a little like platform for my salmon. And you can see as I set this aside, I did keep the skin up because I don't want it to sweat or get in its own juices and for it to not become crispy. And by plating it on top of the kabocha instead of on top of the sauce, we're also helping that maintain its crispiness. All right, it already looks beautiful, but I think it could even go better. So I'm gonna place on the plate one of our beautiful grilled lemon halves. And these are just some pea shoots. You could really use any green, maybe baby arugula or some fresh herbs. But I think just like this beautiful spattering of herbs is going to do the trick. Look at that. Should I taste? I'm going to start by squeezing a little of my grilled lemon on top. La la, smells so good. I have kabocha and sauce. I'm gonna get into that skin. Ugh! The salmon is perfectly cooked. It's a medium in the center. It's, you know, a little bit deeper color in the center than it is on the outside, and it looks so moist. All right, let's see. The salty creaminess of the sauce, the texture and sweetness of the kabocha, and then the beautiful saline amazingness of salmon. This dish is so flawless.